Hello my friends, Shady here, and finally global release happened for Arena Breakout. And sorry, I know I took a couple of days off, but I'm back and I have a bunch of stuff coming. And today I'm gonna start with an AKM build, which you can use from the very beginning, like from farm, in Valley, and then in Northridge up until Armory. In the Armory you may go with something that is even much more robust than that, but the AKM is a solid choice. I can go even further down if you want. I can show you a very nice AK-74N build. I also have a fall build for you guys, and then I also want to schedule in a how to get rich for real. I mean for real, I have more than 3 million coins and I haven't played like too much. Looking at the stats, so what was it, there you go, battle stats, no basic info. So I had 41 raids in total. I did missions, and during those missions I found a lot of stuff, you know, events and such, and I'm gonna teach you exactly how you can get rich for real, not just basic stuff, because all of the guides I stream posted, the basic beginner guides, are all awesome. They teach you everything you need to know at the beginning, but if you want to go a bit more deep and understand why I have like a bit more coin compared to others, I'm going to teach you in that video. But now let's focus on this beautiful AKM build. So this is going to be the end result. The net worth is approximately 55-60k. That's kind of the top you need to pay for it. I think you can push it below 50k if you really want. We're gonna take like an AKM which you can buy for 5k, 10k from the market. This is going to be our starting point. So let's hop into the gunsmith, and I'm going to explain one by one why I'm choosing what I'm choosing and why I'm choosing that. So for the magazines, you want to go for the AKM 50, and you could go down and play with something like AKM 40, but that requires 3 item slots. You could go for the AK 30. By the way, you shouldn't spray, like especially not if you're in the open area, but and you should kill the bots with one shots or 2 shots. So if you are willing to save some money, then go for the AK-30. Otherwise, if you want to spend a bit more than AKM-50, I'm usually having 1 on the gun and 2 extra magazines in my backpack. For the pistol grip, what you want to do is to sort by ergonomics or by hip stability. It doesn't really matter. And from the left to the right, left you have the best one. I'm usually not choosing this because I like if the full weapon is black. So my choice is usually the RK3 or this one, which is much cheaper. Again, you can save some money. This is slightly better, so it has 1 additional ergonomic stat and then hip stability as well. This is where you can save some money, but I would go for this by default. So for the stocks, you have something like this by default, the brown one, AKM or something like that. This is what the bots usually carry, and if you pick up like a low-end AKM from the market, this is what you're gonna have. If you sort that by vertical recoil, then on the left-hand side you have this AK Pref, which is the most expensive, and you can see the stats. It's going to help you to get to 57 vertical recoil and 54 horizontal recoil, but that's not the thing we are going to choose. We are going to go for a converter. Here on the right hand side you can see this one, and if you are attaching like a converter, you can get better stats for approximately the same price. For the stocks, we are going to add not one of these pre-made or final stocks. No, we're gonna add eventually this red one. It looks cool, by the way, that you have a tiny piece in the gun which is red, but you can also choose the other ones. It doesn't really make a huge difference. It's going to change the stats in the same way. It doesn't matter basically. And for the stocks, so this is where you don't want to save money, go for the one which is on the far left hand side. As you can see, vertical recoil is 61, 60 already, so it's much better this with the converter than the original one I showed you. And even on top of this, you need to add a carabine to like close the stock, and as you can see, the end result is going to be something like 64 and 65, which is much better than what we had. If I remove all of that again, picking up this one, 57, 54, so it's much better to choose this combination. All right, we are done with the stock. So for the receiver, guys, until you can put a scope onto it, you're fine. It doesn't really matter which one you choose. There are certain combinations which cannot be used or can be used. What you want to do is just to remove the scope if you have one. If you have such a basic scope on your weapon, just remove it. We don't need that. And instead we're gonna go with something like, I would recommend you to use this 1x/4x or the 4x holo. This is a bit more expensive, but if you use the 4x holo, I think I'm just more in love with the way it looks like. I mean, not on the weapon, like in the game. And if you are using this 4x holo, then what you want to do is add one more dry reflex 1x scope on top. This is the thing you need in order to change from the 4x scope to 4x zoom to 1x. And if you are like within the building, then you want to change to the 1x zoom. And if you are outside and if you want to look for, from a further distance, then you switch back to 4x. Usually 80% of time I'm using the gun with the 4x because you cannot just constantly switch from 4x to 1x. Ornament, you don't need that. I don't even know how to get them, but I guess it's just going to make your gun a bit more fancier. All right, muzzles. So you definitely want to use a muzzle. If you don't use a muzzle, you're gonna lose stats, and we don't want that. I personally like guns where there is a bit of noise suppression, but instead of the default ones, I could pick up this one right here or this one, but these are usually pretty expensive. So if I check that, where is it? Noise, there you go, 8,800, and the other one, there you go, 6,100. So usually what I'm doing is that I'm picking this DT adapter here, and then that allows you to use this more universal noise suppression thing. And this usually doesn't cost more than 3K. Let us check right now, 4K now, but I think it's still a better choice compared to the ones you can put on your gun straight away. Rear sight, so you don't really need that because you have the holo zoom and you have the 1x zoom, and this basically would allow you to add an extra scope. You could add it here, but it even says that they are blocking each other. So usually I'm not using that. I think it's just a waste of money. You can eventually have a build where you have the scope on top of the gun, and then slightly to the right you have the 1x scope, and then in the game, you just turn your gun. I don't really use that, but and it's a more advanced build. If you want to keep the price low, then be okay with the 4x scope. I think it's perfectly fine. It's perfectly enough. So basically, rear sight, we don't need that. You can remove that. If you want to add this little tiny detail, you can use this one just to make it look better, but that's it. Charging handle is something you definitely want to add. It costs like 200 coin or something, and it gives you an extra stats, but nothing fancy here. For the gas block, you have multiple options. There are a variety of choices here. So regardless of what you have, the end goal would be to have the option to add a front grip. I have now this AKM gas block with this AK custom handguard. By default, I cannot add a front grip, but if I add this mod here, then instantly the front grip option appears. Going back to the handguards, you can decide to use something more fancy. Okay, it's going to remove that mod item. And if I use this AKR, for example, I don't need that extra item. I can instantly attach a front grip to that. Or I can go back to the gas blocks and straight away go for this AKVS. If I use that, then this has the front grip option by default. It doesn't really matter which one you choose because this is not going to make or break the fights. The more you change on the gun, the more money you're gonna need to invest. It's like, consider it like a car. If you buy a car as a whole, then you need to pay a certain price, like $5,000 for example. But if you want to buy every single piece of the car, it's going to be way more expensive. So the way we modify guns is that we take everything that we have by default and don't change it unless there is a strong reason to change it. But if it doesn't highly impact your stats, then don't waste money on it, okay? So we're gonna go with this converter, and then for the front grips, what you wanna do is check vertical recoil, and from the left hand side, this grip is the best one, but I don't recommend using it because it's super expensive. I would go for something like the aluminum or the vertical, because these are high boosting your stats. These are really nice and they don't really cost too much money. So we are done with the weapon build. Now let's check how much we need to pay. It says 42k. So if you have a base AKM for 8k from the market or 10k, then you're gonna stop at 50k max. So let's go and purchase this beauty. Okay, it only costs 40k right now. Let's go, let's buy and assemble. And this is how it looks like, guys. I think it's pretty amazing. I mean, if you kill somebody on the battlefield and find this AKM, then I'm sure you're gonna be happy that you found a very nice loot. As you can see, it's pretty much the same as the gun I used for reference. So this is my original one, which I already had, and this is the one we build right now. The only big, let's say big difference is the gas block, because on this one I have the AKVS. On this one we just added that mod with the which allows you to add the front grip. The zoom is also slightly different. Net worth for my original gun is 55k, and for this one it's 55. So it's pretty much the same. It doesn't matter. It's not gonna make a change during the game. Before I show you the gun on the training ground, there's one more thing I need to show you, because even if you have a high-end gun and if you're not using the right ammunition, then it doesn't matter what type of gun you have. You can have a gun that is worth 200,000, and if you are not having good ammunition, you're screwed. It's not gonna help you to survive or kill anybody. So AKM, let's remove the ammunition, and this purple one with armor penetration 3 is the one I'm using by default if I'm playing farm, valley or Northridge. I think it's just good enough, because usually the enemies have armor tier 3 or eventually 4, but even if they have armor level 4, I can still do decent damage with these bullets. If you're aiming on the head, even if the enemy has a decent helmet, this ammunition is going to do like brutal damage, believe me. Again, let me remind you that this weapon build should be used on farm, valley and Northridge, but for farm it's even an overkill. Most people on farm are not going to have such weapons. Valley, Northridge, perfectly fine. I would say up to Armory. When you consider stepping into the Armory, that's the point. That's the latest point where you need to switch from armor penetration 3 to 4 or even 5. But let me show you. So forget about everything that is level 1 or 2. This is level 2. We don't need that. This is the cheapest. Definitely you don't want to use that. It's like, it's like paintball or something. You don't want to use that. And then where you see the price being between 100 and 200, most likely these are the ones which armor penetration 3. So this is fine. These are the purple ones. And then if you want to go one level higher, then you're gonna want to go for this armor penetration 4. But if you want to carry with you 2 magazines, like 100 bullets, then it's going to cost you 50k, just the ammunition itself. But until you are practicing and until you are not getting confident that you can do the kills and such, then I would recommend you going with this. It's not actually armor penetration, it says pierce level 3. So the higher the pierce level is, the more armor penetration you're gonna have. Basically, it means that these bullets can go through their armor. If you are using a pierce level 3 bullet ammunition and the enemy has an armor tier level 3, then this bullet is going to go through their armor and do damage. But keep in mind, guys, that there is no armor on your arms and legs, and even the head is like somewhat protected, but usually the helmets are not bulletproof, especially not on a farm, valley and Northridge. So this is a solid choice up until Armory. So here we are on the training ground, and before I show you the weapon in action, I just want to tell you that you are allowed to use this custom fake crosshair. Based on what I know from iStream, this is fully allowed. I'm actually not using it. You may be surprised why I'm saying that. I just set it like this before I started the recording. But if you want to do it, then you go into control settings, and then you basically shrink it to make it small, and this is going to be your fake custom crosshair. Anyways, I don't want to derail. I'm a type of person who usually likes using the zoom, and the way I play is that, let's assume this is a wall, and then I peek out like this, and then peek back like this, and then I just kill the enemies, like, you know, bang bang bang. If I'm inside the house, then usually I just change the zoom like this, and then I play within the house, you know, with this 1x scope basically. And I can already see that cogwheel fake custom crosshair. It's disturbing for me, so I'm gonna just change it back right now. Okay, the cogwheel is back to normal because I just like these zooms a bit more. I got used to it already. I don't really want to shoot around without zoom, and even without zoom. So the way the weapon design is being made is that, you know, the center of the screen is close to the end of your weapon, so you kind of, you know, you can aim without that crosshair. Anyways guys, this weapon, this has a nice recoil. Let me just show you. I can shoot around, and it's absolutely controllable, so you can control your gun. You're not going to shoot like even with the bigger zoom. It's perfectly fine. This is how, by the way, you usually shoot enemies on the battlefield, like 3, 5, 6 bullets maybe. So this gun is decent, guys. I killed so many enemies with this gun. And if you want to have something that is even more cheaper, I can show you an AK-74N build. And also, guys, if you want to see a full guide in the future, I have a ShadyFoxYT 4.0.1, which is also very brutal and nice. I can show you how that is built in the next video. But please support my channel. Please support me by giving a like, by subscribing, thumbs up, and share, and all kind of stuff. But first and foremost, happy gaming, guys. Have a nice day, and see you in the next one. Bye.